Theo found himself in the midst of a fierce battle between two intermediate-level beasts, a situation he had not anticipated. As the Sutra beast flew closer to him, Theo was taken by surprise. The Jade Ravine boar growled and engaged the Sutra beast in combat, creating a distraction that allowed Theo to escape. Theo acknowledged the critical role of the Flower of Light, realizing that without it, he may have met a fatal end at the hands of the Sutra beast. Fortunately, the timely intervention of the Jade Ravine boar saved him from imminent danger. Theo pondered the knowledge that intermediate-level beasts possess Niden, a valuable internal elixir. Approaching the defeated Jade Ravine boar, he observed the substantial flame emanating from a small stone. Contemplating the situation, Theo wondered if he could fashion a Dharma tool by extracting feathers from the Sutra beast. However, his attention was drawn to the Flower of Light that the Sutra beast had seized during the chaos of the battle. After gathering the Flower of Light, a beast's Niden, feathers of a Sutra beast, and spotting some spirit stones, Theo reflected on the perilous but productive expedition. He acknowledged the need to swiftly conclude his tasks and return before nightfall. The news of Theo's hunt for intermediate-level beasts spread rapidly throughout the ghost village, stirring interest and intrigue among its masters. Grant and Theo embarked on the creation of the Pouch of Abundance, a crucial Dharma tool for any alchemist. This special pouch allowed one to store numerous items in a compact space, making it a valuable asset for their craft. Despite its small size, the pouch presented an opportunity to collect useful resources without hesitation. Upon acquiring the Pouch of Abundance, Theo diligently gathered ingredients and spirit stones during the day. At night, he dedicated his time to crafting Dan pills and developing Dharma tools that would aid him in facing the challenges posed by the gates of heaven. 3 months later, Julian inquired of Samuel about the completion of the Dan pill that had been a source of nervous anticipation. Samuel cautioned about the delicate nature of Dan pill production, highlighting the potential dangers if the extraction process was not executed correctly. Any errors in the extraction could lead to severe repercussions for the body. Samuel reassured Theo of their belief in his skills but emphasized their presence to provide protection in case of any unforeseen issues with the Dan pill. Having all taken a Dan pill before, they were prepared to handle any complications that might arise. Theo expressed gratitude for their support and felt a sense of unnecessary worry on their behalf. He assured them of his dedication and focus, promising a flawless outcome. Julian, in a playful manner, teased Theo about his modesty in front of the second master and jokingly threatened to consume the Dan pill if Theo hesitated. Theo proceeded to consume the pill as planned. Theo experienced intense sensations akin to the fiery flames of the Jade Ravine boar surging within his body. Simultaneously, he also felt a chilling icy wind penetrating deep into his bones. Samuel advised Theo to endure the overwhelming energy. He cautioned against releasing the accumulated energy by speaking, as it would result in the loss of half the stored power within Theo's body. Theo focused on absorbing the effects of the Dan pill, his concentration intensifying. When he opened his eyes, a radiant aura enveloped his body, and he found himself facing a gate. With a serious expression, he slowly opened the gate, and as it swung wide, Theo opened his eyes. Stood there the 4 masters, waiting with smiles of approval. Julian, in disbelief, exclaimed that Theo had succeeded in reaching heavenly birth. He expressed his envy at Theo's extended lifespan of 400 years and acknowledged this milestone as a significant step towards becoming a true alchemist. Julian emphasized Theo's transformation beyond human limitations, taking on the form of the sky. For alchemists, the journey starts with Dan development, a phase focused on cultivating and fortifying their Niden, an alchemy technique for prolonging life. Heavenly birth marks a pivotal moment where one transcends the human form, beginning to embody the essence of the sky. Law of spirit energy enables the adept to create a protective shield using spiritual energy. Breath of the sun signifies the stage where mastery of samadhi fire is attained, granting the ability to wield fire-based skills. Vitality of yin and yang, drawing in the 3 treasures individuals delve into the core of existence, harmonizing the vital forces of yin and yang. Finally, Heaven's throne symbolizes the ultimate attainment, where one ascends to the status of an immortal deity. Samuel revealed that they had become ordinary individuals after their Niden shattered, but expressed their desire for Theo to strive and ascend to Heaven's throne. Theo, brimming with confidence, assured the masters that he would indeed become an alchemist who reached Heaven's throne. He expressed gratitude for their unwavering support regardless of the challenges with the gates of heaven. Curious about the passage of time, Theo inquired, prompting Grant to respond that only 1 month had elapsed. 1 month later, at the Forest of Beasts, as Theo leaped to the mountain summit, he remarked that he had always desired to reach this height after attaining heavenly birth, yet found the experience underwhelming. Theo reflected on the significance of reaching the mountaintop, despite it not being as extraordinary as anticipated. He marveled at the new sensation of standing at such a height. Suddenly, he noticed that the location was close to the cliff where the Sutra Beast and the Jade Ravine Boar had engaged in their fierce battle. Theo leaped from mountain to mountain, hoping to discover spirit stones or herbs along the way. After spotting a large nest, he speculated on its occupants, wary of potential magic beasts residing within. Realizing the importance of not underestimating the strength of magic beasts, Theo decided to test his newly crafted entreaty sword and entreaty shield as a precaution against any potential threats lurking within the nest. Theo noticed numerous herb remnants in the nest, confirming his suspicion that it belonged to the Sutra Beast from his previous encounter. As he heard a rustling sound, he swiftly raised his entreaty shield in readiness. Upon closer inspection, Theo discovered a baby boar within the nest. Recognizing it as the offspring of the Jade Ravine Boar, he pondered over the possible connection between the appearance of the Jade Ravine Boar and the Sutra Beast capturing its child. Observing the baby boar feeding contentedly and displaying a gentle demeanor, Theo considered the idea of nurturing it until it could breathe fire. He contemplated the potential benefits of raising the boar while focusing on manufacturing Dan pills. Theo brought the baby boar to the village to show the masters. Julian expressed surprise at the sight of the newborn Jade Ravine Boar and inquired about where Theo had found it. Theo explained that he discovered the baby boar in the Sutra Beast's nest and brought it home with the belief that it could be beneficial. He sought the master's opinion on whether he could tame the young boar. Samuel reassured Theo, stating that taming an adult Jade Ravine Boar was possible, making it even easier to tame a young boar that had lost its parents. Julian praised Samuel as the best in the world when it came to handling magic beasts. In response, Samuel modestly downplayed the compliment, acknowledging his expertise but not claiming to be the best globally. He expressed confidence in his skills to the extent that he wouldn't feel embarrassed regardless of where he traveled. Julian teased Samuel about the idea of being known as the master of secret techniques, hinting at the depth of Samuel's knowledge. He then encouraged Theo to extract all the knowledge Samuel possessed about magic beasts. Theo, eager to learn and please his masters, enthusiastically agreed to absorb all the information Samuel had to offer. Theo inquired about the time it would take for the baby boar to breathe fire. Grant estimated that it might take around 5 years for the boar to develop a useful fire-breathing ability. Surprised by the length of time, Theo exclaimed in disbelief, expecting more immediate assistance from the boar. Julian playfully scolded Theo for being agitated, assuring him that 5 years would pass swiftly for an alchemist. As winter passed and spring arrived, 5 years elapsed. Theo sighed, expressing frustration at the lack of visible progress in his training. He longed to experience the sensation of the gates of spirit energy. Suddenly, Julian leaped from a tree, teasing Theo about his impatience. Startled, Theo addressed Julian as the fourth master. Julian reminded Theo that it had not been long since he reached heavenly birth, emphasizing that even a prodigious talent would not swiftly progress to the law of spirit energy in their 20s. Theo, feeling apprehensive about the future, shared his concerns with Julian. Julian, seated behind Theo, acknowledged the challenge of reaching the law of spirit energy and suggested exploring other avenues for utilizing Theo's abilities. He inquired if Senior Leo had ever taught Theo about the eternal youth Dan. Surprised by the mention of another area of focus, Theo sought clarification from Julian regarding the eternal youth Dan. Julian reiterated his question about Senior Leo teaching Theo about the eternal youth Dan. Theo confirmed his knowledge of the rare ingredients required to create the Dan and expressed familiarity with the process. However, he questioned the practicality of the eternal youth Dan, wondering if its sole purpose of preserving one's appearance would be beneficial. Julian reminded Theo of the skills he had taught him, such as the face-changing skill and shape alteration technique, which allowed him to alter his appearance from a child to an elder. Julian highlighted the effectiveness of these skills in deceiving others. He explained that while these skills were useful for deception, consuming the eternal youth Dan could provide a significant advantage. Even if someone highly trained noticed Theo using his skills, the sudden transformation to a youthful appearance due to the Dan could create a distraction, potentially working to Theo's advantage in various situations. By the waterfall, Theo gathered waterwall herbs needed for the Eternal Youth Dan, preparing to begin the creation process. Reflecting on the scarcity of the ingredients required for the Dan pill, he felt the goal slipping further from his reach. After a period of intense practice without rest, Theo decided to take a moment to relax by placing his feet in the water. Considering the importance of rest, he contemplated whether to take a brief break. Theo entertained the idea of producing a substantial amount of the Eternal Youth Dan, envisioning a scenario where he could use the pill to transform the masters into youthful versions of themselves. As Theo sensed an approaching presence, he swiftly employed his concealment skill, detecting human traces nearby. Speculating whether the individual resided in the forest of beasts or was an alchemist seeking redemption, he braced himself for a potential encounter. To his surprise, two women emerged, engaging in a conversation. The woman with olive hair mentioned departing due to the hot weather, prompting her sister Ruby to consider bathing first. Theo, witnessing women for the first time, observed their distinct appearance compared to the masters and himself, leading him to wonder if they were indeed women. Ruby advised her sister to protect her skin by resting in the shade, emphasizing the importance of skincare. The other woman countered, suggesting they go together instead of staying behind. Theo, blushing at the encounter and his thoughts, grappled with the novelty of interacting with women for the first time. Despite finding them beautiful, he quickly remembered Julian's warning to avoid trusting or approaching anyone, especially women, in the forest of beasts. He reminded himself to remain cautious and not engage with them. As Theo observed the two women bathing in the waterfall, he noticed their leaf pouches. Recognizing the leaf pouches as a characteristic of alchemists, he deduced that they were practitioners of the craft. Considering the possibility that they had reached heavenly birth, he speculated that their leaf pouches likely contained valuable dharma tools. Recalling Julian's suggestion that stealing another alchemist's leaf pouch was the easiest way to acquire dharma tools, Theo hesitated. Despite the temptation, he reasoned that stealing from individuals who had done no wrong was not the right course of action. Suddenly, a man emerged and brazenly attempted to steal the leaf pouches from the two women, claiming them as his own with a boisterous laugh. However, his triumph was short-lived as he inadvertently inhaled a mysterious black powder emanating from the pouches. Struggling to breathe due to the effects of the powder, the man, identified as Jagger, coughed uncontrollably as the women, unfazed by his actions, chastised him for his foolishness. Despite his distress, Jagger continued to cough, prompting the women to declare that it would be the last time they crossed paths with him. As Theo observed the unfolding events, he reflected on Julian's warning about not trusting women in the forest of beasts. Witnessing the olive-haired woman's confrontation with Jagger, he reinforced the need for caution in future interactions with unfamiliar individuals. The olive-haired woman confronted Jagger, reproaching him for his relentless pursuit, despite her rejection and his drastic actions, including attempting to harm her sister Ruby. She expressed her lack of forgiveness for his behavior. Struggling on the ground and fighting for his life, Jagger questioned the women's actions, bewildered by the consequences of his misguided choices. Ruby explained the situation to Jagger, detailing how even though she and her companion had reached the third and fourth stages of heavenly birth, they recognized the significant disparity in power compared to him, who had attained the seventh stage. Anticipating his attempt to steal their leaf pouches, they had prepared a fake pouch containing black acid powder to neutralize his spirit energy temporarily, rendering him powerless. As Jagger, now bearing a green complexion from the effects of the powder, realized the consequences of his actions, he admitted his mistake, acknowledging that his greed had led to his downfall. As Theo processed the unfolding situation, he realized that the women's actions were not merely out of malice but stemmed from a deeper story. Recognizing that Jagger's actions warranted consequences, he chose not to intervene, deeming him deserving of the outcome. In a sudden turn of events, Jagger hurled a silver needle towards the two women, prompting Ruby and her companion to defend themselves against the flying projectile. In a fit of rage, Jagger screamed, demanding to know who dared to interfere in their affairs. Ruby questioned why Jagger has not suffered due to the black acid powder attack earlier. Dismissing the effects of the black acid powder, Jagger arrogantly declared that he had anticipated the trap and observed Ruby using the powder. He belittled the women, asserting his superiority for having defeated various adversaries outside the forest of beasts. Threatening the women, Jagger warned them to submit to his authority and bow their heads to avoid facing his formidable combat prowess, which he referred to as his 5-feet gap. As Jagger grew suspicious of potential interference from another individual, He pondered the absence of this mysterious figure and questioned whether they were aligned with the women. Uncertain about the stranger's identity, he grappled with the idea of their involvement in the situation. In the midst of the turmoil, Ruby expressed gratitude towards the unseen helper, referring to them as a savior. Despite feeling embarrassed to ask for assistance again, she extended a heartfelt plea for help, promising a reward in return for his aid. Confident in his assumption that the women were relying solely on luck for assistance from a passerby, Jagger expressed his surprise at their apparent lack of a more robust backup plan. Displeased by the turn of events, he shouted into the forest, challenging any potential ally to come forward and collaborate with him to overcome the women, offering a greater reward for his cooperation. The women, taken aback by Jagger's accusations and bold offer, reacted with disbelief at the unfolding situation. Jagger intensified his offer, tempting any potential ally to join forces with him by promising to reward them with everything the women possessed in their pouch of abundance, along with a choice of one of his low-class Dharma tools. Theo contemplated the formidable opponent named Jagger, who had attained the 7th stage of the heavenly birth. Comparing it to his own progress at the 4th stage, he pondered the possibility of teaming up with Ruby and Emmy against such powerful adversaries. As Theo emerged from his concealment skill, Jagger was taken aback by his sudden appearance, surprised that Theo had been nearby and undetected. Suspicious of Theo's capabilities, Jagger questioned whether he was an ordinary person or if his level of concealment skill indicated a higher level of proficiency. Jagger inquired about Theo's level, noting his appearance that seemed ordinary yet hinted at the skills of an alchemist. However, Theo, mindful of Julian's guidance on concealing his abilities, chose to maintain a veil of secrecy regarding his level and expertise in the current situation. Theo responded to Jagger's inquiry by stating that he was still in the process of forming his Naiden and had recently reached stage 3 of Dan development. Jagger speculated that due to Theo's early stage of Dan development, his weak spirit energy might have masked his true abilities, explaining why Jagger had underestimated him. Acknowledging Theo's impressive stealth skills despite his status as an alchemist in the early stages of Dan development, Jagger marveled at how Theo had detected his silver needle. Theo attributed his stealth abilities to a Dharma tool that enhanced his chi technique and revealed that he had recognized the silver needle using a detection tool that improved his eyesight. Jagger, considering Theo's potential arsenal of Dharma tools, proposed using him in the upcoming confrontation with the two women who were prepared to defend themselves. Theo disclosed that he possessed a sword and shield inherited from his parents, prompting Jagger to acknowledge the valuable possessions Theo possessed despite his current level of skill. Jagger schemed to deal with the women first and then eliminate Theo to seize his coveted Dharma tools, recognizing the wealth of precious items Theo held in comparison to his current abilities. Jagger proposed an alliance to Theo, offering assistance and promising valuable advice in return. Theo, swayed by the senior's persuasive words, agreed to lend his full support to Jagger in the upcoming conflict. In a fit of rage, Ruby expressed her anger towards Jagger and Theo, wielding her sword in an attempt to strike them. Despite her efforts, Theo skillfully used his shield to defend against the attacks, showcasing his defensive abilities. As the attacks intensified, Theo noticed that Jagger was not attempting to evade them, leading him to believe that Jagger might be testing his abilities. Understanding Jagger's lingering suspicions, Theo decided to play along and comply with his instructions. Jagger, tapping Theo on the shoulder, praised him for his performance and directed him to focus on blocking the attacks with his Dharma shield, while Jagger took charge of subduing the two women. Using his skills, Jagger successfully landed a hit on Ruby, causing concern to the olive-haired woman. Although Ruby reassured them that she was still holding up, Jagger, displaying arrogance, mocked their skills and questioned the effectiveness of their actions, urging them to align their confidence with their abilities. Employing his skills, Jagger launched an attack, prompting Ruby to defend herself using a saber barrier. Observing Jagger's underestimation of their power and his strategic approach to neutralize rather than engage fully, the olive-haired woman recognized the need to confront him directly. Utilizing her fan skill, she targeted Jagger, prompting Theo to step in and defend against the attack using his shield. Jagger acknowledged Theo's successful defense against the secret attacks and expressed his gratitude, realizing the potential danger they averted. Theo modestly downplayed his actions, stating that it was nothing. Growing increasingly agitated, Jagger vented his frustration towards the women, declaring that he had been lenient with them due to their circumstances but would no longer hold back. He then instructed Theo to switch from defense to offense, urging him to use his sword to attack the women and divide their attention. Theo dutifully agreed to follow Jagger's directive. In the heat of the battle, Jagger and Theo unleashed their skills to attack the women. Ruby, anticipating the incoming attacks, instructed Emmy to seek cover behind her as she defended with a shield, feeling the strain of the onslaught. Jagger, confident in his abilities, launched another attack, reveling in the unfolding confrontation. As he prepared to use the compressed delicate jade staff, he boasted about its potency for suppression, considering it his trump card in the battle. Theo, recognizing the significance of Jagger's weapon and acknowledging that this was his final opportunity, braced himself for the decisive moment in the escalating conflict. Theo swung his sword at Jagger, who dodged the attack. Jagger, feeling betrayed, expressed his anger. Theo leaped and unleashed a burst of fiery energy called the Swelter of Anxiety towards Jagger. Following up with an energy burst, Theo's attack left Jagger shaking on the ground. In response to Jagger's accusations, Theo mentioned the possibility of betrayal and greed. If one's greed is too much, it will become his poison. Finally, Theo ended the confrontation by defeating Jagger. After the intense encounter, Ruby and Emmy expressed gratitude to Theo for dealing with Jagger. They admitted feeling embarrassed for misjudging Theo while he pretended to work with Jagger. Theo explained that he had to attack them to maintain his cover and apologized for any distress caused. Ruby, acknowledging Theo's heroism, revealed her name and politely asked for Theo's name. Theo introduced himself as Theodore to the appreciative women. Theo and the sisters, Ruby and Emmy, divided the Dharma tools and spirit stones found in Jagger's pouch of abundance. Among the items were the marble Dharma tool used in the attempted suppression, the delicate jade staff, the mirror Dharma tool, the Zen mirror, and various herbs. To show gratitude, the sisters provided Theo with the herbs he had been seeking. Living in Mizoram, the sisters specialized in collecting and cultivating a variety of herbs, allowing Theo to obtain most of the herbs he required. Ruby mentioned that they lacked the serene bamboo, an exceptionally rare herb, despite having most of the other herbs. Theo acknowledged the scarcity of the serene bamboo but expressed gratitude for the herbs they did have, mentioning his intent to personally acquire the elusive herb. When Ruby asked about the purpose of the precious herbs, Theo revealed his plan to create Dan pills. However, he clarified that these Dan pills were not necessarily intended for Ruby and Emmy. Theo explained that the Dan pill he intended to create was not for enhancing spirit energy but simply to maintain his outer appearance and prevent aging. Ruby and Emmy were surprised to learn that it was an eternal youth Dan pill, a highly advanced creation. Ruby expressed a mix of envy and admiration for Theo's ability to craft such a potent pill, contrasting their own struggles with humiliation and inability to become stronger. Ruby noted that individuals like Emmy, who valued their appearance, would undoubtedly be impressed by the eternal youth Dan pill. Emmy, feeling shy, questioned what Ruby meant by making a fuss. Theo playfully remarked on Emmy's beauty, acknowledging her attractiveness. Ruby proposed a deal to Theo as he made his way back to the village. Theo pondered the offer, unsure of its implications. Ruby revealed that they knew the location of the elusive serene bamboo and suggested that if they assisted in obtaining it, Theo could provide them with eternal youth Dan pills. Theo deliberated on the deal, recalling his promise to consider it. However, he realized that the area where the serene bamboo grew was guarded by an advanced-level beast, the great conch spider. Theo returned to the village where Samuel inquired about the great conch spider. Theo explained that he had not encountered it outside but had discovered the serene bamboo, which was being guarded by the formidable great conch spider. Recognizing the rarity of the serene bamboo, Theo concluded that his only option to acquire it would be to confront the great conch spider directly in the area where it resided. Theo conversed with Samuel about the challenges posed by the great conch spider guarding the serene bamboo. Samuel noted that the serene bamboo typically grew in areas rich with spirit energy, attracting powerful beasts as protectors. Considering the situation, Samuel remarked that having an advanced-level beast like the great conch spider guarding the bamboo was relatively fortunate compared to facing higher-grade beasts or fiends. Samuel offered Theo guidance on dealing with the spider's webs, which could be the most troublesome aspect of the encounter. He emphasized the need for caution when facing an advanced-level beast like the great conch spider and instructed Theo on crafting a solution to dissolve the spider webs. Theo expressed his gratitude to Samuel, the second master. Theo was troubled by hiding the fact that he met people outside and contemplated seeking advice from the fourth master. When Julian inquired about his concerns, Theo admitted to meeting 3 people outside, with one of them unfortunately passing away. Julian asked if Theo is the one who finished him. Theo said it was him and that Jagger was an evil person. Julian praised Theo for his decisive action and reminded him not to hesitate when faced with potential danger. Theo then proceeded to share his encounter with Ruby and Emmy with Julian. Upon hearing about Ruby and Emmy, Julian expressed interest but admitted he was unfamiliar with them. Julian also mentioned his lack of knowledge about individuals like Jagger, emphasizing his unfamiliarity with vulgar characters. Theo sought Julian's opinion on trusting Ruby and Emmy, especially since they had agreed to confront the great conch spider together. Julian, expressing skepticism, questioned Theo's favorable view of the two women, cautioning him about being careful around women. Theo chuckled at Julian's advice and assured him. Julian advised Theo not to risk his life for Ruby and Emmy, warning him about potential betrayal in dangerous situations, such as facing the great conch spider. Theo defended Ruby and Emmy, stating that they didn't appear to be bad individuals. Julian acknowledged that they might indeed be good people, agreeing with Theo's assessment. However, Julian cautioned Theo about the potential for greed to corrupt individuals, mentioning that alchemists in general could be influenced in such a manner. Julian emphasized the importance of remaining vigilant and never letting his guard down, underscoring the need for caution in dealing with others, even those who initially seemed trustworthy. Ruby pointed out the location where the great conch spider protected the serene bamboo. Theo suggested guarding the area close to the bamboo while they attempted to approach it. He provided a solution to dissolve spider webs and advised applying it to their weapons for assistance. Impressed by the thorough preparation, Ruby expressed gratitude for Theo's help and readiness. Theo proposed setting up a magical trap near the serene bamboo while Ruby and Emmy distracted the great conch spider. Ruby agreed to the plan but questioned whether Theo could create a trap effective enough against an advanced-level beast in a short period. Theo assured them that the trap would indeed have an impact. Ruby pondered Theo's skills as they walked towards the serene bamboo. Theo noted the advantageous terrain for the great conch spider to hide in the snowy surroundings, cautioning them to be careful. Upon reaching the serene bamboo, Theo whispered to Ruby about the absence of the great conch spider, despite its usual presence in that area. Ruby confirmed that the spider had indeed protected the serene bamboo in their previous encounter. Theo recalled the advice from the fourth master about things going too smoothly, indicating a potential trap. As he scanned the area, he noticed nothing amiss to the left or right, leading him to wonder where the spider was. In a sudden turn of events, the conch spider descended from above, catching Theo's attention. Theo warned the others to be cautious. The spider swiftly deployed its sticky web towards them, but they skillfully used their weapons to cut through the strands. Ruby called out to Theo, informing him that they would divert the spider's attention so he could set up the magical trap. Theo acknowledged her plan and reassured them to be cautious before leaping into action. Emmy and Ruby are keeping the conch spider occupied and distracted while Theo prepares to set up the magical trap.